The Hoops are still 3 points clear at the top of the table after we beat Dundee in the first of the 5 post-split fixtures. In today's video we'll discuss the major talking points from the game, whilst also going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to cover in today's video. And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we do get into today's video, as always, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic claimed a massive 3 points yesterday in a game where they were far from their best against a spirited Dundee side. The Celtic support have James Forrest to thank for securing yesterday's vital win with 2 superb goals that rewarded his manager's faith in the winger, who he played from the start. The win came after our title rivals earlier secured 3 points themselves in another unconvincing performance against St Mirren. These are my 3 talking points post the Celtic game at Dens Park. James Forrest shows his quality once again. Celtic fans have been calling for James Forrest to start yesterday after proving his worth from the bench over these past few weeks, and their wishes were granted, with Rodgers starting him on the left wing ahead of both Luis Palma and Yang Ho-Jun. The manager's faith in the experienced attacker was rewarded with 2 goals in a man of the match performance that shows just how important the 32-year-old is still to the Celtic team. With many of his teammates underperforming, Forrest stepped up to the plate yesterday and pulled his team out of a hole. His first goal was a thing of beauty, hitting it first time on a volley straight into the corner of the net that left the goalkeeper with absolutely no chance. His second came after winning the ball back from the Dundee defender and carving his way through the defence before firing a shot low between the legs of the goalkeeper. In my lifetime, I can't think of a player who has been as undervalued by the fans as James Forrest. In an era where players come in and only stay a year or two and use a club as a stepping stone for a move somewhere else, Forrest has been as loyal as a servant to the club as anybody. He has performed to a high standard season after season and has shown in many big games such as yesterday's his quality. He goes about his work quietly and remains humble at all times. We will miss him whenever his days at Celtic Park come to an end. Our overall performance yesterday was poor. Leaving Dens Park with 3 points is all that really mattered in the end, and we delivered that, but we were far from our best yesterday. A lot of our players underperformed and really need to step up their game over the next few weeks as the season comes to a close if we are to get our hands on a league and cup double. Before we got our second goal, it looked like there was only one team likely to score the next goal, and that was Dundee. The amount of simple passes that we're getting in misplaced was incredible, with most of the team guilty at some point. I thought the midfield 3 were particularly poor. Callum McGregor is nowhere near the level he usually operates at, which leads me to believe he's still carrying an injury. Rao Hatate and Matt O'Reilly were often overcomplicating things, trying fancy flicks and turns that weren't coming off. Hatate seemed to improve a bit in the latter stages of the game and was unlucky not to score to make it 3-0. Kyogo was anomalous up front and we looked better in attack once Adamada was introduced, although the Irishman was unfortunate to score an own goal, which made the end of the game a lot more nervy than it needed to be. Many players will have to step up their game as we face Hearts next weekend, who have proved our toughest opposition so far this season. Liam Scales redeemed himself after last weekend. Liam Scales faced a bit of backlash last weekend along with Greg Taylor due to some of the goals he conceded against Aberdeen, but I thought he performed really well yesterday in dealing well with the Dundee strike force. The Irishman had his hands full yesterday but defended well throughout against the Dundee side, who certainly didn't turn up to sit for 90 minutes. Scales' story is a great one, with the centre-back going from the brink of leaving the club last summer to suddenly becoming a mainstay at the heart of the Celtic defence. There is no doubt Rodgers will be looking for another centre-back in the summer to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers, but Scales has certainly done enough to remain at the club as a steady backup. With so many huge games coming up over the next few weeks, it's good to see that Scales has the mentality to put a bad performance behind him and come out fighting the following week. Many were calling for him to be dropped and Mark Nowacki brought in, but Scales proved his manager was correct to stick with him. He will have a very important role to play in the title run-in. Just a quick one, boys and girls, to tell you that we have a new drop available on our website. We have the Brendan Rodgers Pope tee along with the Celtic Ultra t-shirts. Do browse the collection by going down to the link in the description or going to celticapparel.com. Anyway, let's get back into today's video. The summer transfer window is getting closer and closer, and we are starting to get to the point now where we discuss player futures. Whilst we may end the campaign with a league and cup double, things are being far too close for comfort this season, and the boys need to make some big moves in the transfer market. Celtic are planning to sign a new fullback this summer, sources have told Football Insider. Speaking of the latest edition of Football Insider's Inside Track podcast, transfer correspondent Pete O'Rourke revealed that Rodgers would ideally like to reinforce his wide defensive positions if the Hoops budget allows it. The Glasgow Giants have just one natural left back in their squad, Greg Taylor, and are keen to bolster this position ahead of the new season. Well-placed sources have also told Football Insider that the future of left-back Alexandre Bernabé, who's 23 years old, is uncertain. He was sent out on loan to Brazilian side Internacional in March until the end of the year, having failed to make an impact at Parkhead since his reported £3.75 million move from Lanús in June 2020. Meanwhile, it is expected that Greg Taylor is set to agree a new deal as he goes into the final year of his contract. Rodgers has given the green light and wants Taylor tied up to a longer and improved terms ahead of the summer transfer window. Few Celtic supporters were disappointed to see the back of midfielder David Turnbull when he moved to Cardiff City in January. As the transfer window petered out, an exit for the Scotland international seemed likely, and the Welsh side coughed up €2.3 million for his services. Securing such a fee for a player whose contract was due to expire in 6 months was effective business by Celtic. Turnbull wasn't a consistent starter, and while he scored 7 goals for the Hoops in the first half of the campaign, there were several players ahead of him in the pecking order. A move away was the best call for all parties, but the 24-year-old has admitted leaving the club felt strange because he didn't get to say his final farewells. He said, "I just felt the time was right for me to move on, but it was weird leaving the training ground. The Cardiff deal went through late on, and my last session was 2 days before. I thought I was going in the following day. I'd said to the boys, I'll see you tomorrow, but things move so quickly in football. I had to nip back to Lennox Town that same day to get my boots. That was a strange feeling for me. No one was there, except the kit men and a few people working, so it was weird leaving everything at the drop of a hat." Football is a fast-moving business, and although Turnbull didn't get to say his goodbyes, he still chats to his old teammates. "I'm in contact with 4 or 5 of the Celtic boys every couple of days, because we're so close," said the midfielder. "It was just strange leaving them behind. Those years at Celtic were the best of my life, but my head was set on getting away for a fresh challenge." Since moving to South Wales, Turnbull has played 16 games in the English Championship. He admitted that a lack of minutes in Glasgow was a key reason that he left. He said, "I wanted more game time than I was getting. That was probably the deciding factor. I was in and out last season. I'm not sure if that was down to my contract situation or not. But I'm not restarting my career at Cardiff. I'm kick-starting it to get back to the levels I know I can get to." There was no doubt in Turnbull's capabilities, but there were others ahead of him in the pecking order. His play style perhaps didn't entirely suit Celtic, but he more than contributed to 2 seasons of the utmost prosperity. Celtic fans, what do you make of what we discussed in today's video? Do you think Greg Taylor deserves a new contract, yes or no? Also, what did you make of the result against Dundee yesterday? Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. As always, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, bye bye.